So Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is about to drop in only a matter of days on November 14th, and things have changed quite a bit since the beta. And in this video, we're going to look at the early reviews from gamers and journalists who have already had their hands on the game, from early preview builds and the beta, mainly discussing what to expect at launch. So has the movement system changed for the better, and will players like it at launch? Will we finally get that multiplayer experience this franchise needs, despite mixed reception from the beta and early preview events? And what about that robust map count at launch, with 18 maps and 7 more maps coming for Season 1? And there's even been tweaks to aim assist, sliding, perks, and more since the beta. But will this sway veterans to return to the franchise and bring new players to the game? And we'll also talk about that strange looking campaign with its newly announced 32-player PvE Endgame mode and Zombies mode too. And by the way, I've been a Call of Duty fan since Call of Duty 2, if you didn't know. I bought every single Call of Duty title since then and made quite a few videos on Call of Duty here on YouTube. So I've seen the highs and the lows of the franchise. So trust me when I say I'm coming in with some expectations here, since I have quite a history as a Call of Duty fan. And no, there won't be any campaign spoilers in this video, so don't worry about that. And with that said, let's jump into the video and talk everything Black Ops 7. So if there's one good thing about this year's Call of Duty, it is that it is leaving behind some of the movement from Black Ops 6, and the devs are pushing for a more balanced flow, even though technically they are adding in wall jumping in this game. But unlike the Black Ops 7 beta, on launch day, you will now be able to aim while sliding, diving, or wall jumping by default. So no longer will the dexterity perk be required for aiming down sights while doing these movements, which is actually really good news. And concerning the dexterity perk, it's not going to be completely useless now, of course. It will still boost these movements. Also, mantling speed has been increased with slide distance and speed slightly reduced, meaning you'll still move fast, but in a more balanced, fluid way compared to the beta. Now, some players may find this change good, while others may feel concerned by this change and may want it reverted back. We'll have to see what happens at launch. But what about aim assist and input balance? Probably one of the biggest topics of Call of Duty. Well, data from the beta, according to the developers, showed that controller players dominated close range, while mouse and keyboard players had the edge long range. So the devs have decided to reduce close range aim assist strength while slightly boosting assist for longer ranges, and they're even looking at how rotational aim assist works to narrow the gap. We'll have to see how these specific changes to aim assist and input are received by the community at launch. If there's any major backlash, it will come down to how well Treyarch responds and fixes these issues if needed, but hopefully it doesn't come to that, of course, and these changes actually feel balanced and players like it. Also, you may have had problems hearing enemy footsteps during the beta, like a lot of people, including myself. I could hardly hear enemies running around me, which resulted in sometimes what felt like instant kills out of nowhere. Well, I've got good news, because audio improvements will be there at launch. Footsteps will be louder compared to the beta, so you're going to hear enemies a lot better. But the devs have emphasized that it's a slight increase in volume, so that way players won't have to completely rely on the ninja perk to be stealthy, which it's kind of good news here. We'll have to see how we feel about these audio changes and if they're enough to make the footsteps louder. Also, keep an eye on how the matchmaking lobby system holds up at launch, because they are bringing back classic matchmaking by default, which is good news, and this means that they're toning down the skill-based matchmaking big time, something that the community has been asking for a very long time now, and something that early reviews have discussed. Also, persistent lobbies will also be a thing at launch too, making these matchmaking improvements both huge wins for the community. So overall takeaway here, Many of the major beta feedback items are being addressed at launch based on early reviews. So the movement, aim assist, audio, perks, matchmaking are all being carefully tuned according to the dev team. And if all is received well by the community, this could end up being a pretty decent launch after all, believe it or not. So we'll have to see what happens. And here's where it gets really interesting for Black Ops 7 and where the game may have the edge on the competition this year, despite some of its mixed reception from fans. At launch, Black Ops 7 is bringing 18 multiplayer maps, including 16 core, 6 versus 6 maps, and 2 larger maps designed for that 20 versus 20 skirmish mode. And this is actually a very impressive amount of maps at launch. And then for season 1, get this, we're already looking at 7 more additional 6 versus 6 maps, plus new modes, and on top of that, new weapons. So you can tell that Call of Duty is trying to up its game this year due to the stiff competition with Battlefield 6. So will Call of Duty's launch see significantly more people online thanks to all of these changes from the beta and the sheer amount of maps at launch? Only time will tell, but regardless, people will still line up to play this year's Call of Duty, especially after how well they have been handling player feedback and implementing changes so quickly before launch. And if you even look back at the beta, they had already implemented toned down skill-based matchmaking, so it's a good sign for launch for sure. Now let's dig into that rivalry with Battlefield for a second. Battlefield has been pushing destructible environments, huge maps, vehicle warfare, and Call of Duty, on the other hand, has always been known for a more compact, fast-paced experience, even though we have things like Warzone and we'll be getting the new in-game mode as well, but more about that later. And with Battlefield 6 stepping up their game and also doing things to appeal to the Call of Duty crowd, the team behind this year's Call of Duty couldn't afford to just coast and let Battlefield take their fan base. They know they have to do their best to deliver strong this year at launch, especially after the mixed reception the very first Black Ops 7 trailer received. So what you're seeing is tweaks to Black Ops 7 like map count, movement refinements, deeper perk systems, and better matchmaking and lobby systems. Player feedback and raw data are driving these changes. Call of Duty wants to avoid the drop-off they saw with Black Ops 6, where charts showed big losses in player count after launch. And with Battlefield 6 having a rock-solid Season 1 plan still in the works with the Eastwood map coming up, Call of Duty is going to do everything in their power to keep their player count alive. But I will say this, both Call of Duty and Battlefield 6 can coexist just fine side by side. And while both franchises may be similar in many ways, in reality, they are really two very different games, and it should stay that way. Call of Duty should continue to offer those medium-sized maps that provide fast-paced, crazy action-packed gameplay with kill streaks and perks, while Battlefield should continue to provide a more large-scale warfare experience with massive maps, vehicular combat, and class-based infantry battles with gadgets. And I've always been a huge fan of both franchises, and the reason why is because of these differences each game provides. It's always fun to jump back and forth between both Call of Duty and Battlefield, and I can't wait to do the same this year when Call of Duty Black Ops 7 releases alongside Battlefield 6. It's kind of like that Tony Stark moment where he said, "Is it too much to ask for both?" Another point that should be made here is if both Call of Duty and Battlefield ended up being too similar of experiences, then the variety that we gamers love just wouldn't be there anymore, and both franchises would simply lose their identity. So I think it's crucial that both franchises continue to keep their own identities in this way so that players can enjoy both experiences and jump back and forth between both franchises. Now let's talk about skins in Black Ops 7 because this is a big one. In case you didn't know, the team behind Black Ops 7 has confirmed that they are not carrying forward the wacky skins from Black Ops 6. Thank goodness. They got backlash from the community and took note. So thanks to all of you who were so vocal about this, because I was also definitely sick of seeing things like Beavis and Butthead running around in Black Ops 6. It totally took me out of the experience. So for Black Ops 7, upcoming skins have been reworked to fit the aesthetic the community wants. They are even making changes to upcoming DLC skins as well to ensure that skins look the part and fit into the narrative of the game. Now, time will tell if they stay true to their word a year from now, or if the next Call of Duty starts to drift back into the wacky skins again. But for now, everything seems to be pointing in the right direction with the skins. And of course, I can't forget about Zombies mode. Black Ops 7 wouldn't be a Black Ops game without zombies, and the game will of course launch with a full Zombies mode. And this will include 7 maps, over 30 weapons, ammo mods, and field upgrades, and many features that Zombies fans come to expect. And then there's Warzone 2, of course, and while not the main focus of today's breakdown, yes, there are ties into Warzone. The aim assist changes and input balancing for Black Ops 7 feed directly into Warzone's Season 1, so if you play Warzone, these refinements matter too. And then there's that single player campaign, which has definitely received mixed reception so far. The futuristic, mind-altering setting isn't resonating with everybody, including myself, which is why I'm definitely more excited for the multiplayer. But once you complete the campaign, either solo or co-op, a new mode called Endgame will unlock, which can be played solo or co-op too, but this time on a larger 32-player PvE map called Avalon, and the map has 4 zones of difficulty with different points of interest, and you'll have to uncover mysteries and intel while at the same time progressing and leveling up your operator. Another cool thing to note about Endgame is that Avalon will have previous Black Ops locations in it as well, so this sounds pretty interesting indeed. So while the campaign in general has mixed reception due to its weird, wacky, mind-bending story, the in-game mode may actually entice players to complete the campaign. We'll have to see if this will be the case at launch. So what's the verdict based on everybody's early reviews, based on player feedback, and based on the changes the Black Ops 7 team is making for launch? Well, if everything holds, and despite its initial mixed reception, believe it or not, Black Ops 7 has potential to be a pretty decent launch this year. The multiplayer actually looks quite solid with its high map count, strong post-launch roadmap, meaningful gameplay tweaks from the beta, no more wacky skins to deal with, better audio and movement systems, toned down skill-based matchmaking, and persistent lobbies and more. But, and there's always a but, it all comes down to launch stability, on whether the community actually likes many of these gameplay changes, and whether the community sticks around. If the dev team actually manages to hit these marks, yes, Black Ops 7 could go down as a solid Call of Duty entry into the franchise. So yeah, sound off in the comments down below and let me know what you guys think about this year's Call of Duty. Are you excited for it, and will you be getting it on launch day? And don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you can stay in the know and updated on all things Black Ops 7 and help us reach 700,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Commander Ryan signing off, and I'll see you guys all out there in Call of Duty or Battlefield or both.